This is pretty cool. You don't see a mill preserved this well very often. And yeah, it's still a ruin, but it's well over 100 years old. And still have this tower intact here. So I think that's noteworthy and worth sharing. Here's another perspective on it, looking straight on. And then over to the right, you can see more levels they built up out of the stonework there. Or out of the stone, I mean. Look up at it through the trees. There's a better view of some of the stone levels next to the mill. That would have been a lot of work to make those. That section right there is probably 20 feet high, just to give you a sense of scale. The adit's right there, I'm going to show you in a second, but we have a very promising first view. Just above the creek here, we've got these steps leading up to where the adit is, which is really cool. The miners made this little trail here. I would take it, but the tree has blocked it off. But you see how it goes up and wraps around to there? That's really cool. So that miner's trail came up through here, and there's the adit. And look at the surrounding terrain. Well, it's tough slipping and sliding in all these rocks getting up to the mine, but I have to say it sure is pretty getting up there, hiking through these woods. Beautiful, isn't it? There's the waste rock pile I'm standing on, and unfortunately, we're not going to be going in this mine today. You can see it's eroded shut. So look at the surrounding woods. Now, fortunately, this is actually came in from the side. There's an old miner's trail I followed up. It kind of wraps around through there, but it also keeps running up that way, where the main mine that we want to check out for today is. So we'll head up there. If you're into history and abandoned mines and that sort of thing, I'm going to show you something that you don't want to see. And that is this. And what that says is State of Colorado Mined Land Reclamation Division. And what that means they obliterated a mine that was here. Unfortunately. Probably remains of the adit right here. See that notch in the ground? It's probably where the adit was. Although I haven't even bothered checking the topo map. Once I saw that marker, I knew that this part of our day was done. If this isn't promising, I don't know what is. You've got this fat quartz vein right here, which is running right through the middle of this great miner's trail here. Old miner's trail. Old miner's trail. And I'm seeing more and more stone foundations and cuts and things like that that we all know indicate historical mining activity. So I think we're on a good track here. No joy on this one, unfortunately. As you can see, it's been eroded shut. But the road keeps going, and we have others, as you can see, on the side of the hill there to check out. Well, I'm afraid we've got another one where our friends in the Abandoned Mine Lands program want to keep us safe. Too bad, because this one had some good potential. Still looking around for open adits. There are waste rock piles all over the place, but I haven't found any open adits yet. However, I have found what I believe is the biggest boiler I've ever seen at a mine. This is no exaggeration, the size of a railroad, old steam engine. This is easily, I would say 15 to 18 feet long, and then maybe 6 feet across. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary. There's a little dog right there to give you some perspective. It's crazy how big this is. And then it's hard to tell, but some rail stacked back in there as well. So I'm gonna keep looking around for some open adits. Well, unfortunately, our friends that want to keep us safe have gotten here before us again. And unfortunately, it's probably going to hold true for the rest of the adits here. I'm going to look around some more, but I'll bet that's the fate of all of them here. Well, that's a sad end for this once glorious mine. A sad end indeed. I'll give you a sense of what was here. Waste rock pile extends way out in that direction. Some old carbide barrels scattered around here. Then look at the road they built to get into this mine. That rock wall supports the road they built to get down here, and that would have been quite a project, I assure you. Here's a better look at that road. Really high quality road. It's such a shame that this mine was erased. There's some bits and pieces of rail around as well. Pretty cool site for a mine, huh? Especially when you take into account these awesome miners' cabins that we still have. Unfortunately, that sign there should give you a little bit of a clue of the problem here, but first, admire these cabins. They're pretty gone, as you can see, but the exterior alone is really cool. And then check out that stone one right there. Now, unfortunately, what I was alluding to with that sign is the fact that our friends in the Forest Service have gotten here before us and have erased, or I should say closed up, a vertical shaft right here. I see water maybe 30 feet down. That's fair. Close up a vertical shaft like that, just in the open like that, I'd say that's fair. However, closing up all the adits and such, I'm less keen on that, obviously. There's a look. Let me get a little closer. Here's a look into this one. It was open. It was open. Another look at the buildings here from a different perspective. It's very rare, as viewers of this channel know, to see buildings preserved like this. There's a look inside the stone building through one of the windows. Cool fireplace in there, huh? It's hard to tell with the snow and the work the Forest Service did, but I would imagine, given that the adit is right there, the shaft is right there, and those big double doors right there, they probably had rail running straight out from there into here, which is probably some kind of workshop. And then they might have had some other, well, I'm trying to piece this together in my head how this would have worked. Obviously, vehicles would have driven up here, and I think we're standing on this whole platform. I think it's made of waste rock, but I would imagine that was some kind of workshop based on double doors. I doubt they had a mill up here. I'd be shocked if they did, but you never know. Haven't looked inside this last building yet, but I don't see anything. Yeah, there's nothing connecting those, so everything would have had to have happened in here. And if you recall from looking here, That sure didn't look like a mill. It looks like a workshop. So I don't think they did any milling here. So probably just dumped waste rock where we're standing and stockpiled ore to get trucked away. See if we can look inside this building. This is looking inside that last building. It's got the look of a bunkhouse to me. Cool fireplace again. This is the back side of that last building. I see some barrels up there with pipes running down, which I'm assuming is a primitive water system for a little bit of water in the sink and such. And I'd put some pretty strong money on this being the outhouse here. Yeah, double cedar. Never quite understood that, but it's double cedar. Here's a look up the hill. I don't see any other sign of workings. There's not. I haven't seen any on the map either. So, guessing that's it. Sorry, the site was closed up. I decided to take a quick look around a bit more. I noticed this trestle system leading away from the mine. Looks like a trail, but that's a lot of infrastructure to have here just for a trail. See the stone and such right there. So I wonder if they ran rail out here or if this really was just a trail. It's really hard to tell. Well, I followed to the end. Eyelash was shooting over there, and I'm standing in the foundation. Maybe a mill? It's hard to say. Pretty big concrete structure here I'm standing on. Well, I say big in the sense that's deep right there, but it's not that big because just all this just ends right here. Small stone foundation there, but that's it. There's no sign of an adit or anything, just this deep concrete building. So I mean, if I saw concrete like that, I would normally think mill, but this is so small that it's hard to tell. So your guess is as good as mine on that one. One last quick view of the buildings before we get out of here, because it's about 15 degrees here. Right now it's getting colder, so one last look, all the stonework and such, and then we're getting back in the warm truck. I love the siding on these cabins. You've got here's the aspen right here, and then of course the pines. Very aesthetically pleasing. And then there's this building as well, which is succumbed to the elements by now, unfortunately. But impossible to tell at this point what it was. Workshop, whatever. Who knows? We're out at the slide mine today, and unfortunately this is all that's left of it. It has been destroyed, as you can see. Well, maybe you can't see too well from the snow, but it has been reclaimed. That's a euphemism for destroying the mines, is reclaiming them. Pretty recently too. Pretty recently. 2023. So they bulldoze around the waste rock pile. The adit would have been back here, but it was filled in, and that's that. Heading out to the mine with the Italian. I don't think I'm her favorite person right now. It's pretty grim.